Hello, everybody. It's Coath with another My Music. This is one of only two guests who's been on 3 times to My Music. The other being Fred Bong. Today, I'm going to be speaking to KEELEY. But first, this little passage of video tech from Analog Trash. What a wonderful thing to come into. Listen, I very, very, very rarely get the old guitar out, but for you, I thought I'd do it.
I feel suitably honoured.
That's the chord that we're working with today. Ta-da! Now,
we're no longer in search of the lost chord because we found it.
What is the lost chord for you?
The lost chord. Well,
I think it's that one actually. Let's just have a look.
That sounds lovely. Yeah, that's
a beautiful chord, isn't it?
It is. My manager Nick is often I'll play chord such and such, and then he'll mention me playing another chord with a name, and I don't know the names of almost any of the chords. So I don't know the name of that chord you just played, but it's a sweet sounding chord.
I don't know the name of that chord. Where I get stuck beyond like the rudimentary chords of like G, C, F, whatever. Then when it starts getting into like sharp, flat, the seventh, and all of that nonsense. I mean, that is just, that's just maths.
Exactly. My bogey subject.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Beyond that, it's just, does it sound good with another set of chords? And actually, occasionally, does it not sound good with another set of chords? And I'm just going to throw it in there just to confuse you as well. Do you ever do that? Do you ever when you're writing go, I've got to put in at least one chord where it's just going to make your brain go in a different direction for a minute?
No, I don't. In that I always just, I suppose, without and whether the chords are whatever are the chords that flow out when the song's out of the sky. I always liken writing songs to, like, I know this is going to sound very, very fanciful and very probably to someone who hasn't experienced it, probably maybe liken songwriting to songs falling out of the sky, because that's what happened. Never a song. I never sit down and try and write one. So, I've in a previous band I was in, the cat that I was writing with, but they used to write in a very methodical kind of way, in a very, like, they were scientists and approached the kind of songwriting like that, which is the direct opposite to the way I would. The song falls out of the sky, very little control over the process, and I like it like that, because I write when the song falls out of the sky. If 4 songs fall out of the sky, it happened before, then I've got 4 new songs. If no new song falls out of the sky, then I haven't written. I'm kind of relying on the spirit, or the song.
Well, you're not the only person. You're not the only musician that talks like that. I mean, we've had I've had Christian Hirsch on who feels like she's channeling songs. I don't know. Have you ever read Tori Amos's book about songwriting?
I haven't read her book, but I'm well aware of the the way that Tor describes songwriting, and I mean, I really like the way she refers to, you know, to songs in an almost human form and refers to them, and the way she describes songwriting, which is a very kind of mystical way of describing it. But yeah, but no, the whole thing about chords. So I suppose, yeah, I mean, if a lovely chord is part of the song, well and good. But I tend not to anything in unless it's flowed out as part of the
Because it's
initial
there, it
creation.
should be there. Yeah, it should be
Yeah,
there. Yeah,
for me,
yeah.
but each to their own.
I think it's different. I think it's different for different people, but it's also different for different people when they're with different people as well. I mean, that's part and parcel of it. I've been in sort of music situations where it's been quite mathematical, like you said. You know, you've been with a group of people where everything's kind of, you know, they're aiming to try and create something, and every little sound and chord and whatever is considered. I've also just been in situations where it's a literal jam, and it just, you know, the energy in the room comes together, and that creates something. And then I've been in situations like you say as well, where literally there's just been a moment and it arrives. So I think it can be different in different times for the same person as well. Actually, don't think it's
Yeah.
always necessarily the same, which is it's a magic. It's a magic making music. Now listen, it's going to be a bit of a whirlwind today, but since I last saw you, the world's turned upside down, Keeley. I've got older, as everyone else does. I've got glasses, which you might have noticed as well. I've what else has happened on my side of things? I've got a studio now.
Lovely.
No longer the sheet. I've got you've got, as you had before, but in a different situ. You've got all of your records and your books and your CDs and everything else, which is wonderful. See a lot of suede on there. Because we're
Yeah.
young, and then me behind me, I've got this is my the wall, which people that have been on have donated various
Oh,
things to
lovely.
go on here. So there's lots of lovely things like badges and little photos of people and some gig tickets from people that have, you know, I've been to see. I'm off to a gig tonight, believe it or not.
Who are you going to see,
I,
Graham?
I shall be I shall be leaving. I shall be leaving shortly. I'm going up to Bristol, of all places, to watch the Sherlocks.
Oh,
That'll be
wow.
nice.
Very good. Very good. I
And
played in Bristol recently, and I've developed a real love for the place.
it's lovely. It's a wonderful thing. So lots happened to me. Oh, I gave up the alcohol as well since I
Good
last
on
saw
you,
you.
Graham.
So I'm not. I haven't joined you on the milk. Yeah, are you still on the milk?
I'm always partial to my favourite tipple.
You're always partial to the moo. She went. She came back. There we go.
you're,
Uh, you came in through the
you're
outdoor.
covering. To quote Led
Yeah,
Zepp.
yeah, yeah.
What were you saying there? What were you
To
saying there?
create,
You're slowly discovering something.
yeah, I'm slowly discovering where you can get, because this is quite rare, good non-alcoholic beer.
Sure.
So because my son, my eldest son, doesn't really understand it. He says, "Why on earth would you want to drink beer? Because it tastes like earwax anyway." But you know, especially if it hasn't got the alcohol in it. But I like the taste of beer. But I am slowly but surely discovering who sells good no alcohol beer. And one thing just to say, I'm going to quote them here right here and now. There is, talking about Bristol, there's a brewery in Bristol, and they do Clear Head, which is a low alcohol or virtually zero alcohol beer, and 10% of the profits from the sale of that goes to a mental health charity. I think that's a perfect win-win. So there we go. So a lot of change for me, but there's been a lot of change for you as well. I mean, since we last spoke, you were basically putting out your first material. Now you've put out several EPs. You've released an album. You've moved to a different part of the country. You seem to have become friends with everybody, and you seem to have toured all over the place. So tell me about it.
What would you like to know? Ask me anything.
Well,
I also hadn't. Wait, I should say I've also managed to have major surgery in that time as well.
Oh, I was going to say you've also had major surgery. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Completely.
No problem. No problem. No, that's okay. This was another thing.
So many life-changing things. Has it felt like you've been in control through that period, or not? Has it just have you actually had time to kind of breathe and look back on the last couple of years and actually go make any sense of it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think maybe because being Gemini as I am, I can experience something and analyze it simultaneously to find that I try and live in the moment as much, also keeping an eye on the short term and the medium to long term as much as can be. Obviously things evolve and change. The wonderful John Lennon line, life is what happens to you while you're busy making other plans. So yeah, but it doesn't feel too frenetic. I think one of the lovely things about living in the countryside, which I now do, at least for now, is that it is that kind of slower pace, and I love that kind of bucolic setting. So even if things do get a bit friend, you can readjust your kind of tempo to the more surrounds of the countryside vibe.
Yeah. Now, well, you and me both share that.
Definitely, because you're still in Somerset.
I'm in Somerset. Yeah, Somerset. And I was brought up. I was brought up a Bedford boy, and I used to spend a lot of my time sort of in and around London. And of course, sometimes people still say you sound a bit London. Well, that's because I've spent a lot of time there. But yeah, moving down here, I would never move. I don't think I would anyway. I don't think I'd move away now from being in a more rural area. And part of it is, I just think when the rest of life is kind of too much and getting on top of you or whatever, it's just the fact that you can open the door, go outside, and there's a slower pace. I love that. I just think there are easier spaces to escape into a place where it feels like it's a slower pace of life, and that's important for us all, I think, at this day and age.
I had a live band that was based in Ireland that consisted of 3 particular musicians, and at the end of last year, that live band came to an end very organically and very amicably. It's just basically what was happening was that most of the gigs we were being offered were in the UK, where I really want to play, and the cats in the band just found it just too much, trying to juggle home life and work life and everything, and going to England. So they just wanted to stay in Ireland. So we just decided it made sense for that lineup to come to an end. Then I ended up basically forming a new band at the start of this year. And I've spent the year, as well as like releasing new material, traveling Ireland over to England to rehearse and play live, which is kind of challenging in a way, because I don't know anyone else who flies to jam. I mean, I don't know. But it's kind of, for me, it's like needs must. Whatever far I have to go in pursuit of the goal is where I'll go, where I have need to be. But this new band, 2 really, really great cats called Tom Fenner, who's formerly the drummer in Micro Disney and voice of the Beehive, and he plays the High Llamas and people like that, and Lukey Foxtrot, who's a really, really talented electronic musician. He plays all kinds of music, Lukey. And we formed a 3-piece with the occasional addition of Marty Canavan, who was the keyboard player in the last lineup, who's a really great cat who's based in Ireland. So we've just been touring in the UK for the first time. We just did a 2-week tour all over. We went London, Bristol, where you're going tonight. Glasgow, we did 2 gigs in Glasgow, then Manchester and Leeds, and that was just amazing. Yeah, I'd never gotten to tour the UK before, and it was something that I'd always wanted to do. And it's especially important to do so because all of the songs are very much relevant to England and Scotland, geographically, because they name check various locations because it mirrors Inga's route. Obviously, what I do, I'm a concept artist and I write exclusively about one person. So all the songs kind of reference all these places that she traveled through. So we got to play in a lot of those cities and towns on this tour. And that was amazing. So I think that's been really the highlight. That and going to America this year as well have just been lovely. Just my whole life, I was moving. By the time I was 14 years old, I'd moved house 15 times because my family situation was just very unsettled. And I was cool with that. I just rolled with it. But I'm someone who finds it very easy to be sleeping in a different place every night on the road. I've never had stability, so I don't need stability. I've never owned property. I've just whichever way the wind blows.
Are you continuing to write about Inga? How do you next write about Inga, or do you not even know what you write about next? Given our conversation a minute ago,
definitely know what I write about next because I'm very prolific and songs fall out at a very frequent basis. So I've got a huge backlog of material, which and also myself and my pretty musical partner, Alan McGuire, we're constantly recording as often as our schedules allow. So we've got the next album is already written for that's going to be coming out next year, and that is even more conceptual a work than the first full-length album. Yeah. So, but the thing is, I'm very much I'm pursuing my chartered course, and I'm very much in the mindset of building and continuing to build upon the immersive world that I've been, building on for the last 3 years. In the same direction to misquote one of my own song titles, which is traveling in the opposite direction. I'll be approaching the same topic with different angles and different aspects. Funny you should mention there about needing to see us live. We're actually going to be playing in Bristol again. We're actually returning as headliners to play there on November the 8th. So come down, come all you faithful. It's going to be a great night. We're going to be playing with Special Mind and Madame Mutante at Bristol Thunderbolt on November 8th. Listen out, don't miss out. It's going to be a KEELEY-licious sonic odyssey. Before I even started, well, actually around the same time that I started filtering Inga through my songwriting, I started the blog, or an online resource and website called the KEELEY Chronicles, which is up to 36 parts, and I would be publishing more parts if I had the time. I'm just looking to try and find the time to do it, but the kind of the writing and the kind of investigative side is all there in the KEELEY Chronicles, and then obviously there's the songwriting side, which is in the music and in the releases that I release, and 3 EPs, the mini album and the studio album so far. I produce all my own videos, so that's something I've actually got to produce now for the next single, which is going to be coming out soon, which is going to be a track off the album called Echo Everywhere, and I'm going to reveal an exclusive here, exclusively for listeners to the Grain Coast podcast. Tim Brown from the Boo Radleys has actually remixed the next single that's coming out, and I saw that you interviewed Softly Soft recently, so that's a lovely tie-in.
It is a lovely tie-in. It was a lovely conversation. I think what's important is, in doing what you're doing, you are not only historically keeping this story alive, but you are, as you say, spiritually keeping this story alive. And it's kind of the lessons that we can all, as humans, learn from this story as well. You're keeping that alive in people's thoughts and minds as well, which is which is, you know, a quite emotional thing to think about, and actually quite, you know, in the grand scheme of things, when you think about some of the crap that people write about these days, really quite important. So thank you for all of the music. Keep doing it.
Thanks, Graham.
Because you're a
I
wonderful,
will.
wonderful human being. And
Thanks, Graham.
I'll hopefully see you on the road sometime.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, you're welcome to come and bliss out with us in Bristol on the 8th of November, and other dates which will be ahead. I'm speaking of Bristol. Have a great time tonight in Bristol at the Sherlocks, and